Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to introduce you to someone who has impacted the EMS community in a very positive way. He's impacted hundreds, maybe thousands of students nationwide, worldwide. And those same students, through him, learned how to treat. Well, first, they learned how to recognize, then treat a disease in their respective community. And in essence, this man is here to share with us a little bit about himself, about what he does. And without further ado, welcome the Paramedic Coach. What's good, bro?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks so much for having me on today. Look forward to it, man. Look forward to going through this with you today. And hey, a big shout out to everybody watching this video and everyone on your channel as well.
Thank you. Yeah, man. The majority of the people that are subscribed to my channel are based out of New York City, and I'll tell you why. Usually when I see them in the triage, I'm like, hey, do me a favor, man, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'm based out of New York City. So, but for those of you that haven't had the chance to hear about you or who you are, please briefly introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Evan. I go online here as the Paramedic Coach. I'm a national registered paramedic, and what I start here online basically is entire community. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I have a video study course as well. I do a little bit of coaching too. And my whole goal is really to help like three types of people. So if you're watching this video, if this is you, you're going to get a lot of value on today's call. People that are getting ready for school, so getting ready for EMT, advanced EMT, paramedic. People that need extra help in school. They want to understand this content at a deeper level so it sticks for life. And then finally, in most states, you have national registry. New York is different, obviously, it's a state exam, but they're fairly similar. But the NREMT, that's really my bread and butter, helping people pass their NREMT so they can that's the ticket to getting your license, is passing national registry, the written, the practical. So those are the three people that I help here online.
It's nice. Yeah. And before you get into that, can you just briefly tell us more or less how you started in EMS, like your road to EMS? Where did it begin?
Oh, 100%, man. So like a lot of you that are probably watching this right now, and I know you've impacted a lot of people on your channel as well, probably in the same spot that I was in years ago. I was about 19 years old. I went to community college. I thought I was going to go there for finance. I took a few classes, really didn't have any direction, and I really didn't like it. So now I'm 19 years old. The community college thing didn't work. I have my high school diploma. That's it. And I'm like, I had no idea where I wanted to go. The only thing I knew at the time was that going to college for 4 years to get a bachelor's degree in something I wasn't passionate about, getting all that debt, that didn't make sense to me at the time. So I wanted to like sink my teeth into doing something, but I didn't know what it was. I only knew two things. I wanted to be outside because I didn't want to be like inside all day. And I wanted to do something active as well. At the time I was getting into a lot of like lifting and fitness and stuff. So that was kind of my passion. So I actually at the time was looking between doing personal training and EMT or just EMT or whatever. I had two schools I was looking at. I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. Thank God I went with the EMT route because that was doing it changed my life. So here's what happened. All right. I went to an EMT class at 19. And at the time I was working as a server. I was working part-time at a pharmacy. That's what I was doing for work basically at the time. I was doing delivery, stuff like that. And 2 weeks into the class, the way that it worked was they give you 2 weeks in the class to see if you liked it, basically. See, this is a brand new career. Like, hey, see if this is for you, right? I remember the paramedic instructor, like I am now, like lecturing to the EMT class. And, 2 weeks in, I knew I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to become a paramedic. And eventually, hopefully, one day I can be like that guy. His name was Terrence. If you're watching, Terrence, you know who you are. Kind of be like him and become an instructor one day. So that was my goal. And I just really halfway through the class just fell in love with it, man. And that propelled me going forward. And then that's 19. By 21, I'm a licensed paramedic. And this is back in 2011, I got my EMT. 2012, I actually signed up for paramedic school with only 9 months of volunteer EMT experience. Everyone thought I was crazy. They're like, you have no experience. How you get this is the whole cornerstone of the paramedic coach. What I did was what I tell you what I want to do now is prep before you go into school. EMS schooling is so accelerated. If you prep before you go in, even if you don't have a lot of experience, you can get it done. And then I gained EMT experience, getting my first EMT job in paramedic school. I pop out at 21, I'm a licensed paramedic, and the rest is history. So that's how I got started in this career, and thank God I did, because it really changed my life, to be honest with you.
Cool, man. Yeah, man. I mean, the ideal route is for people to do their first refresher, quote unquote, maybe 3 years of experience before going into paramedic school. But there's cases, and I've met paramedics such as yourself, that they have less than a year experience. They go into paramedic school and they do just as good. I guess it's up to the person. Obviously the experience helps, but if you're willing to put the work in and work the hours and have the patient encounters, you'll be just fine. Like if you go from EMT school straight into paramedic school. Now, when we're out of state, as you mentioned before, there's other states besides the city of New York and the state of New York that require the NREMT exam. And to be honest, I'm familiar with it because I work in the field, but can you give us an idea of what this exam is?
Yeah, sure. So the NREMT basically, and the practicals are one end, and then you have obviously the written end of it. So like most states, for example, they have like a practical and they have a written, right? So with NREMT, there's basically, you have your 4 levels. So you have the EMR, your EMT, the advanced EMT, and the paramedic level, right? Mm-hmm. So you have like essentially limited BLS, BLS, limited ALS, ALS. And everyone's state's different, but that's how the NREMT, the national standard, kind of works. So in that, you have your practicals on one end, which are all different for each one. Then you have your written test. Where I find students lack is maybe hands-on, they're pretty good. They get through the practicals. It's the written test that I see time and time again, people not getting through. And the whole reason why is because the test, you have to recognize signs and symptoms. That's how you get through the scenarios. So, for example, like, Ray, you know this. Let's say you get a 67-year-old female patient with high blood pressure and rails bilaterally and swollen ankles and the difficulty breathing and chest pain. We both know what that is already. It's probably CHF, right? So, but that's when you're brand new to the field, maybe you don't have that.
Confuse it or something else.
Right, exactly. To me and you being like experienced medics, like to us, like, oh yeah. But when you're remember where you were first starting off. Remember,
no, for sure, yeah.
Right, like so as a new EMT, it's like getting down the test to get this is like the core content. That's what I talk about. So it's like heart blood flow for the EMT, recognizing tension pneumothorax, asthma, COPD, anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis, first allergic reaction, pneumonia versus CHF. These are like the core things you're going to get tested on the exam in different scenarios. So where people mess up is they're doing just practice questions. The thing about practice questions is all you're doing is assessing the skill level that you have right now. So what I try and do is in video form, whether you listen to it or you watch it, is to understand the content cold so it sticks with you for life. Like, for example, you went to medical school a long time ago, and I went to medical school a little bit of a long time ago, right? So it's like, but that information still sticks with us today like it did back then, So that. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, but, the reason why these topics are being covered so much during exams is because they want you to be prepared to identify it when you have it in front of you. You know what I mean? Like anaphylaxis is something that, in a split second, next thing you know, the person can't breathe at all and their throat closed. So it's definitely very important for people to be able to recognize these things prior to, and that's why they kind of drill those topics in and any supplemental information that you can get to help you identify these things before the exam, during the exam, and then on the field is beneficial for you your pockets, you know, because you're going to get a job. You're most likely to get a pay raise if you're going from whatever job to the other transition from EMT to paramedic and or et cetera. And ultimately, the patient and their family is going to benefit from you dominating this knowledge, you know?
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And that's like the whole, like the whole, I guess you could say like the trifecta of it, you know? So it's like and you can, again, if you just watch this video, you don't know who I am, just like start on my YouTube channel. Go watch some of the playlists, the EMT playlist, the paramedic playlist. I have a playlist on like frequently asked questions. You know, like a lot of people getting this field, you know, should I do EMT versus CNA? I have a video on that. You know, EMT versus ER tech, I have a video on that. You know, if you name a frequently asked question, I've probably covered it on my YouTube channel. So definitely start with those playlists, especially if you're new to this field, because like, Ray, I don't know your entire story. And obviously we've talked a little here, but like when I first got into EMS, I have no one in my family who's a healthcare provider. Nobody in my family is a first responder. I just walked right in. So, you know, my goal here is to kind of be that, you know, that voice for you to kind of help you through.
For sure, man. I mean, there's so many different avenues that you can go within the medical field, like you mentioned before. And, you know, it's a smart decision because, like, you know, during the recession in 2008, I made the most money in my life. You know what I mean? And during the pandemic, there's a lot of people that unfortunately were affected by it. But if you worked in the medical field, you were doing a little bit better, I guess you can say, you know? So definitely a lot of routes. And obviously EMS is one of the, you know, funnest, if that's a word, routes, because I mean, obviously we have bias, but running around lights and sirens is pretty invigorating. You know what I mean? I love it. Like, you know, I went to medical school. You know, I got my degree in medicine. I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
Yet I'm still working on the ambulance. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, bro, good. I'm glad I have all this knowledge, but I still enjoy the rush of rushing to a gunshot wound or et cetera, you know?
Yeah.
Now, if you could just give us an idea of some of the benefits, may it be financial, academic, and or et cetera, of getting the NREMT certification. And by the way, I'm asking you, even for me, considering I should take the exam as well.
So this is like one thing that, like, whether it was EMT school or paramedic school, the instructor like always like drill. I remember them saying this over and over again. It stuck with me. And basically what they said was, once you get your NREMT, never lose it. Well, why? Well, why is that? Well, the reason why is the NREMT is basically a national standard certification. So let's say, for example, right? So let's say you're in New York now and you have your state certification and your state license, right? Let's say one day you want to move somewhere. You need to have your NREMT if you're going to move to another state, right? That's how you're able to move around to different locations, right? So that's like pretty much, I would say, the biggest benefit to getting your NREMT. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, because everywhere that I've seen is NREMT, but maybe you can even expand on this. But it's obviously not going to hurt. Not going to hurt to have an extra certification, you know, extra letters after your name. Obviously, it's not going to hurt, obviously. If maybe you are in a state where they just require the state and admit, oh, wow, this guy didn't even need to get his NREMT to work here, but he got it. Wow, it looks like you're willing to do the extra mile already just looking at your resume first thing, right? So I'm just saying, I know people, like, not everybody, but I did have a student who's in my course who was in New York, and yeah, it's state, but he said, you know what, I'm getting my NREMT too. So just to have it, just because you never know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe you don't stay in New York your whole life. How do we know? How do we know what we're going to do 5-10 years from now? You can plan, but nobody knows. So that's why I recommend definitely getting the certification to everybody out there for that reason.
For sure, man. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. It wouldn't hurt, you know? Yeah. And I know you're a busy man. You got a lot of stuff going on. One more question before you go, please.
Yeah.
Can you please share with us one of your most memorable jobs on the ambulance while working as a paramedic? Like, may it be, you know, a good memory, a traumatic memory, but just a memory.
I actually have a story. I'll tell you this story. So
Please.
this story that I'll tell your subscribers here, this kind of, we talked about my story earlier, basically put everything like full circle. So here we go, right? So I'll paint the kind of the picture. So this wasn't, people that are like, in EMS right now, this wasn't the most critical call of my career, but it had the most impact on me because it showed me how far that I've came in EMS, basically. So like I told you earlier, when I was 19 years old, I was working in a town an hour away from the city that I ended up actually getting my first, paramedic job and EMT job, same company there. Okay. So I'm 19 years old and I'm working at a pharmacy. One of my patients that I would deliver meds to at the pharmacy, like we were like friendly, right? Like I would deliver his meds, we talk for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. So remember that gentleman, he lives an hour away from where I was actually practicing one day as a paramedic. At the time I'm just delivering medications for a pharmacy at NEMT school. Now let's go later on. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but let's just say I was probably a medic for a few years this time, at least 2-3 years. Let's just say I was somewhere between 22, 23, 24, somewhere in that realm, but I was a medic for a few years. So I'm with my favorite partner, one of my favorite partners, shout out to Brandon at the time, if you're watching this.
What's up, Brandon?
Yeah. He's actually a PA now. He went from EMT to PA. So it was
Nice.
really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And we signed the ambulance, and we hear there's a BLS crew. So the 2 EMT crew, we're ALS crew with me as the medic. And they say that they have a very critical diabetic patient, actually from a local HIV clinic, like an end of stage clinic. And they're coming towards the hospital, but they need help. He's like unresponsive, and they don't know what to do, basically. That's what we're hearing, basically. So I literally just checked my gear. It's my first call. So we're okay, here we go. So we go into we meet them at it was a Hess station, a Hess gas station. Right, it was probably one of the best intercepts I ever did. Perfect location. We met at perfect timing. Nobody waited. Highway's right there.
Perfect.
And I opened the doors.
How far were you guys from the hospital? I'm sorry.
Probably about 4 minutes,
Nice.
4 or 5 minutes, maybe. Because going like in sirens, with traffic, it wouldn't be that way. But basically, maybe 2 or 3 exits away, and then going up to circle around to the hospital. So
Gotcha.
Probably about 5-6 minutes to be fair. So get in the back of the ambulance, see what's going on. Yeah, we have like a clear cut, unresponsive diabetic. We get a blood sugar on it, up, extremely low, and then we do our thing. Brand takes over the auction. It was 2 rookie EMTs, so they were very very nervous. Brand took over the EMT role. I got my line in. I don't remember, 18, 20, whatever it was. Hung some D10. Patient starts to wake up. Okay, great. So here's the thing. That sounds like a normal ALS call. That man I told you about earlier was the same man I just took care of in the ambulance now as a paramedic years later.
Full circle.
So, and at first I didn't realize, because I'm in the moment, and when I saw his paperwork and I looked at his face, he looked a little different. I was like, dude, that's the guy that I was delivering meds to when I was 19. Now I'm in my mid 20s, and I just woke him up from a diabetic coma, essentially. And now and to see everything full circle, to see him, he was very out of it. It was end of, God bless him, the end of life. He's very out of it. He probably didn't even recognize it was me. But that was a call that will stick with me forever, just to see the whole journey and like how far I came. And that was, crazy call.
Nice. You had a different scope of practice, obviously, at that time. And
like when I was talking to that gentleman, I was in EMT school, basically, when I was in pharmacy, and then to be his paramedic, this guy was, talking on his porch, petting his dogs, and now and to be an hour away in a different city, and here that was that. And the way the whole call went perfect too. You know how it is, like one of those calls where everything goes right, everything goes right.
And it's your last job. You're about to get off in half hour, and you're just like, oh man, perfect timing. You
Everything
know.
everything was winning smooth, you know. And that call was actually our first call out of the.
All right, you mentioned that. You mentioned that. I'm sorry.
Actually, yeah, that was like literally. I just checked the equipment. We just opened the bay door, and then, bam.
You started the shift off on the right foot.
Yeah. I mean, that was some, that was some fate right there. That was just.
Yeah, man. I mean, I believe some things are more than a coincidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like a sign. Like a lot of times when we go, when we do things that we keep getting like signals. I feel like sometimes we get signals of what we're supposed to be doing, and sometimes we're oblivious to it. But in this case, you were extremely aware and conscious of it, and this is your interpretation of it, and it's being spot on to me because, like, if it's more than a coincidence that all these variables that could have changed didn't, and you ended up right there treating him again. You know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah. Like, oh man, I'm right on the right path.
I know. That was. Like I actually like that when someone asks me about the craziest call, that's what I always say. Cause it's just stuck with me. I'll never forget that.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you stayed as a paramedic. I'm also glad that you took the time to come on this call with me so we could go ahead and share it with the people online as well.
Thank you, man.
And I'm also extremely grateful to you for everything that you do, man. And you're helping push forward the profession, and you're doing it in a digital way. I guess it's out with the old, in with the new, but we come with the old way of proceeding. You know what I mean? Now we're not discarding it. Right. We're just enhancing it, I guess you can say, and catching up and adapting to the times. And you're doing it awesome, man. And I see the testimonials, guys. If you haven't seen the testimonials for his students, they're freaking they're killing this exam, and people are happy. So, here he is. When you get a chance, bro, or if you could do that right now, please let these people know, let our brothers and sisters know how they can get a hold of you, please.
Sure. Well, first off, man, thank you so much. It was an awesome experience coming on here, man. Thanks so much for having me on, and getting me a lot more New York peeps out there now. So I'm happy to be there, man. So
come through, man. Eat a bacon, egg, and cheese with us, man.
Exactly.
But you got to come wearing Timberlands, though.
Oh, I've got
dude. Even if it's 90-degree weather, you gotta wear Timbs, bro.
Dude, and I got the whole New York thing down, bro. I wear all black all the time, so I'm ready.
That's it. Yeah, then you gotta balance it out with Frank Sinatra in the background.
There you go.
So the New York song.
That's it, man.
But yeah, man, how can these people get a hold of you, man?
Yeah. So best way to get a hold of me. Here's what I want you to do first. I want you to go right now. You're on YouTube. I want you to go right to my YouTube right now. Head to my YouTube. Check out my latest videos. I've just dropped a ton of content. I put out 3 videos every single week without exception. So I want you to start watching some of those videos. Go through some of the playlists. If you're one of these 3 people, if you're getting ready for school, if you're in school right now, or you're getting ready for national registry, you want to be better at your job, want to be better at what you're trying to become, I do have a video study course. That course, I give you a lifetime access when you sign up, because you're going to be using that course, not just for your test, but throughout your career. So you can find that also on my YouTube. It's on every single one of my videos. It's prepareforems.com. You'll see it there. And I always tell everybody, this is a very important point. I didn't know this until I started doing more of this social media stuff. You are free any single time, because people get confused. You're free any single time to send me a message. You have a question? Hit me up on Instagram. It's at the Paramedic Coach. You can find me on Facebook Messenger. You can, I have everything there. I pride myself, no matter who you are out there, what question you have, literally every single day with my phone here, Facebook, Instagram, I get messages every single day. Several every single day. Sometimes even 10, 20 per day on both. I pride myself on answering every single one of your messages. If you have a question, please hit me up. I'm right here. Just like I'm here in this video now, hit me up. You've got a question. I'd love to help you out. That's how we make the profession better. And that's why me and Ray are doing what we're doing. So thanks so much for having me on here, brother. I appreciate you too.
Yes, sir. Yep. All right, guys. There you have it. The Paramedic Coach. And guys, just so you can know, this is not paid for. This is just us trying to share with you. Like, he's not paying me to do this. It's just, hey, man, this guy's doing great work out there. And I feel like everyone will benefit it. And like I finish every single video, man, I hope this helps. All right, guys? Peace. And then that's it.